Most of us grow up really disconnected from the land, from where our food comes from people who are connected to the land.
Accessing farmland is definitely a challenge for any new farmer, let alone a young person, or someone of color, a woman even, or someone who's not from a farming community or a farm family.
There's a lot of farmland in Maine, and there's not a lot of farmland in Maine that's as close to the people that want to buy our product as we are.
You see a lot of farmland get developed and houses put on it, and it doesn't come back from that.
I think people don't really understand the gravity of the threat to land. Our farms in New England are really threatened by development, loss of farm viability, as well as climate change. 1/3 of New England's farmers are over the age of 65, and a lot of them don't have a successor lined up after them to take over the farm. New England has some of the highest farm real estate values in the whole country. For the incoming generation, and particularly younger beginning farmers and farmers of color, really are struggling with discrimination, financing, access to capital. There's all kinds of barriers that farmers really need support with.
I am the owner and operator of Cloverleaf Farm. I mean, I've known for years that I wanted to buy my own farm and knew that I needed sort of help growing my business. But like many farmers, I don't have sort of the business acumen to be able to do that kind of forward thinking and budgeting on my own. And so when the grant opportunity came out, it was just like, it was right at the right time. You know, that allowed me to work with a business consultant to start building a very comprehensive strategic plan for business expansion. For so many small-scale farmers, a little bit of money goes a long way. It really does make a difference.
The New England Farmer Microgrant program is a brand new grants program that we started this past year. It was funded by 2 private donors. We started to realize that there were not a lot of small grant opportunities for farmers who really just needed a new piece of equipment, support with farm succession planning, a small amount of money to close on the purchase of a farm property. So we were able to fund 41 farmers, providing grants up to $5,000 to support farmers across the region.
Seekonk Tree Farm is a family-owned operation. Been in business since 1978. My father started it. Trying to set it up so it's the future, maybe the nieces and nephews of my daughter or grandkids, you know, just it'll be here for them. We're probably one of the few right in this very area that are choose and cut Christmas tree operation. You know, we've expanded into pumpkins and maple syrup production, just to keep something going at all times of the year. Having a blueberry operation will just give us another facet of, you know, the year, specifically funding for overhead netting and structure and irrigation. That was what the grant was intended for. There's more funding and more programs available to people to stay in it or get in it, then I think it'll help increase farmland protection and use. If there's no support out there, then people are going to go other directions, you know.
We were looking to fund projects that help get more farmers onto land. They maybe were already on a piece of land, but they wanted to increase the productivity on that land.
Since there's so much demand in our first season, we realized we want to continue growing the amount of space that we're farming. Our location is really great, and we reached out to the Rockland Cemetery Association because they own this land, and they had this vision of having someone come farm it. We knew going into this that we have 2 major challenges, which is the water drainage. And there's also no water here for irrigating. We couldn't grow here until we had those solved. Our application with AFT was to dig an irrigation pond. Having an irrigation pond here is keeping our crops alive. We can technically run like 18 hoses from our house, which is great to know, and we did have to do that at first before we had our irrigation set up, but this is a lot better. $5,000 to us feels like a lot of money, because it is. As a grower, whether you've grown for 10 years or you're moving or you're going to a new farm, everything is really expensive to do, and that's a limiting factor. Cost is a limiting factor.
Farmers have to take on often significant debt. They pay a lot out of pocket for equipment, land, infrastructure. Grant programs like this are a way to uplift and support a diverse range of farmers around the region.
OLI stands for Organization for Refugees and Immigrant Success. What we are doing as OLI is to not only create food security, but also try to help refugees improve their economics. We were spending between $2,000 and $2,800 every year to till it. And the only way to solve that problem is to have your own tractor. Now we have managed to buy that tractor, and it will help a lot. Growing food for them, their family, their community, they love it because they are at peace, and it also brings them together as a community, you know, when they come in here, they talk, there is peace, good environment. If there is nowhere to grow food, we will lose a lot of freedom in terms of food securities. When you rely on other people to send you food, it's very hard. And when the communities cannot produce their own food also, it's really tough. There will be no farm, no food. That's it.
Without farmland, you'd lose all kinds of things. You'd lose the food security of the region and the town and people's connection to the land. We ended up becoming the main green supplier for the Middlebury Co-op last year. We've been looking for land that was affordable and good farmland and close to markets. So we feel like we kind of hit the jackpot here. We would not be able to afford this place without the easement on it. We had worked with Vermont Land Trust and worked through the whole process, and here we are. It's a good feeling knowing that this place is going to be always farmland. Buying a farm is very daunting, especially when you haven't bought anything this big before and when you don't come from a whole lot of money. So all these costs just kept piling up. What we applied for the grant for is there's a boundary adjustment that needs to happen, so that's where we went looking for some help. Now we can actually invest and bring things up to a level that allows us to be much more efficient. In terms of the amount of food we can produce and the price, which is important for New England regionally, is the security of our food systems and the quality of the food. Bringing the soil health up, improve the ecological function of the whole land.
If there's roots in the ground, we're not losing soil. And the more roots, the deeper the roots, the better it is. The faster it's going to grow, the more carbon can be sequestered, the more feed there is for the animals. If we can keep the land healthy, the animals will be healthy. And if the animals are healthy, the food that we're producing is going to be healthy. We've been sold out of beef for 5 years. We're die-hard 100% grass-fed producers, and so we're completely limited by the pasture space. So this guy who has a farm down the road, he said, I'm too busy to manage my land, and I don't do it as well as you do. Would you be interested in having cows at our property? The land that he has more than doubled what we had in pasture space. In order to implement rotational grazing at the level that we want to do it, we needed a lot more water points. The water line's expensive, and it was at a time where we didn't really have extra money. It's super helpful that we could get the funding to enable us to manage the cattle on this new property the way that we have found is the best way to manage them. We were crawling before, essentially, and getting a grant like this enables us just to go straight to a run. Like we're just like right at a sprint.
Farmers are really at the forefront, innovating to help keep this land intact. If we can keep farms, we'll have this land for the future.
So much of the financial support in this country goes towards a very different type of agriculture that I don't think is good for the earth. I don't think it's good for the animals. And so it's really encouraging that there are also organizations out there that care enough about this type of agriculture to put money towards it.
If we want to prepare for the future, we need to be able to grow new farmers.
Offering help financially creates a pathway for more people to be able to start a farm business and not just be a farm worker. Without that, I can't imagine where we would possibly be.
I think it's important that people from rural areas have a pathway into farm ownership. I do it because it's the most meaningful work I've ever done, and it combines working with your hands and feeding your community in a way that's not like anything else.
Having a place we can bring everyone together and share the resources. It's a community, it's a family. It's been great.
When you think about the basics of literally taking one tiny seed and then getting pounds and pounds of produce from it, and that's an enormous transformation.
We need to treat every acre like it's sacred. Every acre we have, it will only give back to us what we give to it. I'm totally happy to give everything to the land, because I know it will feed us for a long time.
Farmers work really, really hard because there is love and passion there. And that means if we need them, they're gonna be there. So we gotta keep them on land to grow our food and our flowers.
We have to have farmland, and we have to protect it. We have to do everything that we can to protect it.